Dear friends, welcome back. We meet again, not just on another hot summer day, but in the heat of a political moment that may shape the course of history. Today's story is not just a headline, it's the beginning of a new geopolitical chapter, and it starts somewhere unexpected. Alaska. Yes, you heard me right, Alaska, a land that was once Russian territory, sold to the United States in 1867 for $7.2 million. A frozen frontier turned into one of America's most strategically important assets. And now, nearly 160 years later, Alaska is back in the headlines. Not for oil, not for fishing, not for climate change, but for diplomacy. Because Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump are about to meet there, and no matter what the official press releases say, the symbolism is impossible to ignore. Think about it. Of all the cities in the world, why Alaska? Why not Washington? Why not Moscow? Why not Geneva, where East and West have shaken hands for decades? No, Alaska was chosen for a reason. And not just because it's halfway between Russia and the continental US, it's a location heavy with historical and symbolic weight. To understand the significance, we must look back to one of the most important summits of the 20th century, the Yalta Conference of 1945. There, in the Crimean resort city of Yalta, three men sat at the table: Franklin D. Roosevelt of the United States, Winston Churchill of the United Kingdom, and Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union. But now, in this Alaska meeting, there will be no Britain, no Rishi Sunak, no King Charles. The UK, a nation that once sat shoulder to shoulder with Washington and Moscow at the grand table of history, is absent. Brexit weakened its economic hand. Military spending, while still significant, pales compared to the US or China. The Yalta of 1945 was a three-legged stool. The Alaska of 2025, it's a table for two. Publicly, we will hear about security concerns, nuclear arms agreements, energy cooperation, and the Arctic. These are safe topics for the cameras. But behind closed doors, the real list is likely far more explosive. We are talking about Ukraine's future, possibly even the redrawing of borders, the Arctic race, who controls the resources, shipping routes, and military positioning in the increasingly ice-free polar north, and perhaps something even bigger. A discussion about what the world will look like in the 2030s, when America's unipolar dominance will be challenged. If this summit were in Washington, the optics would favor the US. If it were in Moscow, it would look like a Russian victory lap. But Alaska? Alaska is neutral ground, and yet, not neutral at all. It is geographically between the two powers, but historically, it carries the memory of a transaction between them. Putin's presence there will not be lost on Russian audiences back home. State TV will frame it as a symbolic reminder that Alaska was once theirs. Donald Trump has always understood the power of setting and spectacle. From his reality TV days to his unconventional diplomacy with North Korea, he knows that location is part of the message. In his mind, meeting Putin in Alaska says, "I'm not afraid to deal directly, I'm not bound by old norms. I can make deals no one else can. And make no mistake, Trump will want to walk away from this summit with something he can call a win." For Putin, this is about far more than one meeting. It's about positioning Russia as an indispensable player in any global negotiation. Despite years of sanctions and Western attempts at isolation, here he is, meeting on US territory, face-to-face with an American president. That in itself is a victory. It sends a message to both allies and rivals. Russia cannot be ignored. Melting ice is opening up new shipping routes that could cut travel time between Asia and Europe by weeks. Beneath that ice lies untapped oil, gas, and minerals. Russia has been building bases and deploying icebreakers in the region. The US has been slower to respond, but Alaska gives it a foothold. A private understanding between Trump and Putin about who controls what in the Arctic could reshape global trade and military strategy for decades. Let's pause here and think about the historical arc. In 1945, the US, UK, and USSR met to decide the fate of Europe after World War II. It's not just the UK that's absent. The entire Western alliance system, from NATO to the EU, will be watching from the outside. Power is no longer negotiated in giant multilateral conferences with dozens of flags and endless speeches. It's decided in small, high-stakes, behind-closed-doors conversations. After the Alaska summit, the press will show polite smiles, joint statements, and vague promises. But the real test will come in the months after. Do Russian troops change their behavior in Ukraine? Do certain sanctions quietly disappear? Does China suddenly find itself squeezed in subtle ways? If the answer to any of those is yes, then we'll know that Alaska was not just a photo op, it was a turning point. In the end, History may remember Alaska 2025 the way it remembers Yalta 1945, as a moment when the map of global power was redrawn. But, unlike Yalta, where the whole world eventually learned what was decided, Alaska's secrets may stay locked away for years. And that may be the most telling sign of all. Friends, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Putin-Trump-Alaska summit and the new world power game, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and reach more people. And I want to hear from you. Do you think this meeting marks the birth of a new global order? Or is it just political theater? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one.